What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. The first ever matchup featuring #1 overall pick in the NBA, Victor Wemby going against two-time MVP Giannis. Was fire. What I liked about the matchup was they guarded each other in a lot of cases and a lot of instances in this game. The Milwaukee Bucks was able to prevail 125-121. But the one-on-one matchup reminded me of back in the day when Shaquille O'Neal, coming out of LSU, was the #1 overall pick. His first time matching up with Hakeem Olajuwon, who was at that time was recognized as one of the best centers in the NBA. When you talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's recognized as one of the best front court players in the NBA. At the very worst, the #2 best player in the NBA behind Denver's center, Nikola Jokic, who was able to win a chip last year. So this was a epic matchup. I'm not saying stylistically it reminded me of Shaq versus Olajuwon, but I'm saying as far as you had this guy coming out of college, you know, that was being compared to Wilt Chamberlain, who was going to take over the NBA, who was going to wreck the NBA, who people were predicting was going to go down as the greatest center of all time, going against a guy that had already put in work, a guy that was a defensive player of the year like Giannis was a defensive player of the year, a guy that was at the very worst a top 3 center at that time, Hakeem Olajuwon. And this matchup was must-see TV. Great matchup. Giannis Antetokounmpo ended up with 44 points, 14 rebounds, 11 assists. Another day at the office for the Greek Freak. And when you look at the fact that Victor Wemby put up 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist, up from his regular season averages. This was a classic case of the young buck trying to step to the old lion and showing his worth, but the old lion saying, yeah, you showing me my worth, but you're still not on my level. And that was the case with Wemby versus Giannis. Great matchup. It was fire. You had highlights for both players. Wemby threw a pass to himself off the backboard and dunked it. Straight out of the All-Star game type of play. You had Greek Freak posterizing Wemby using his brute strength to push the young buck around. You had another occasion where he leaned his shoulder in on Wemby when he attacked the basket looking to dunk it. But Wemby rejected it at the rim, at the apex. Great highlights. Great matchup. And it was definitely one of the matchups that you're going to remember when you think about the 2023-2024 season. Now, the Milwaukee Bucks have much bigger fish to fry. They must get better on the defensive end of the floor. Their offense is there on a championship level, but the defense is one of them things where they definitely going to have to improve on, because if they don't improve on their defense, they could be looking at an early round exit like they did this past season when they were upset by the 8th-seeded Miami Heat. Miami Heat is one of the teams they're going to probably have to deal with again this year, along with the Philadelphia 76ers. Both of those teams play much better defense. So if the Milwaukee Bucks don't clean up their defense, they could be, again, looking at an early exit. But as far as this matchup goes, man, Giannis is making a strong case for MVP. If you ask me who was the MVP at this point in time, I would probably have to go with Luka, because he's putting in work along with Kyrie Irving as he continues to perform at a high level for the Dallas Mavericks. He's putting in work. They're top 6 team in the Western Conference. The Western Conference is deep. I'm talking about deep. You're going to probably have 2 to 3 teams sitting at home in the playoffs that if they was in the Eastern Conference, they would make the playoffs. So you're going to probably have to win I would say you probably going to have to win 50 games, but these teams going to beat up on each other so much that I think 45 wins is probably going to get you in the play-in game. You know, play-in game is going to feature the 7th seed, the 8th seed, the 9th seed, and the 10th seed. So I'm saying somewhere in 42 to 45 win is probably going to be what it's going to take for you to make the play-in game. I think it's going to be that close, and it's going to be that competitive in the Western Conference. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But great matchup. Wemby must get stronger, must get in that weight room, must build himself up to be what he can be, and that is one of the best NBA players in history. As he's had a lot of accolades coming out of France, he's got a lot of hype coming out of France. Only players I can remember that got this much hype coming into the NBA were LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and that's it. That's it, man. This guy's getting a lot of hype. You know, Kevin Durant was praising this guy before he came into the league. LeBron James was praising this guy before he came into the league. It remains to be seen when we look at the final product, how good will Victor Wembanyama be? Will he be more on the level of a Kristaps Porzingis, a good player but not a great player, a very skilled player but a player that didn't quite reach his potential? Or will he end up being like a Ralph Sampson, another player that really was before his time, had point guard skills, had guard skills, playing out there on the perimeter, a guy that had a good mid-range game, but a lot of people were saying back then, like, hey, man, you need to get in the post. You're a big man. Act like a big man. Quit playing like a small perimeter player. He was before his time. His type of play would have been appreciated more during these times than it was back in the 80s. With all that being said, Victor Wembanyama could end up being like the player that he played against last night. And that is Giannis Antetokounmpo, but he must get in that weight room and get stronger. If he's able to reach that level of play, then he will be able to reach his potential, and that is an MVP player, one of the best players to ever play the game, a guy that, when it's all said and done, will go down as one of the best front court players in NBA history. So we will see what happens. And we will see what transpires. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to win 125 to 121. Again, on the defensive end, they're a work in progress. On the offensive end, they are championship material as far as that goes. Very prolific offense, one of the most prolific offense in the NBA this season, but a bottom 10 defense. So they must improve on defense if they want to reach their ultimate goal, and that is to host the Larry O'Brien Trophy and once again become NBA champions. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Follow me on Facebook, Gerard Briscoe. Like, share, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.